I realized that you could learn leadership lessons from anybody. Let me narrate to you an incident from one of the earliest branches that I headed. This branch had a very strong and active union, and the leaders were heavyweights in their own organization. But there was this young chap who wanted to take over. I watched with interest, and his band of 5 young followers went about capturing the mind space of the branch employees. The employees used to have difficulties in putting up their bills, which they needed to put up to reimburse themselves for various expenses like medical, travel, etc., as well as for applying for loans for which they were eligible, for instance, for home loans, etc. Now, this band of challengers, each one of them volunteered to become an expert in one area of preparation of bills or putting up of loan proposals. And then they went about offering their services to the branch employees. By the end of the year, every single branch staff was building his or her house with a home loan. The bills were getting paid in double quick time because they were submitted in apple pie order, and management didn't have to raise umpteen questions to pay them. When election time came around, this little band won hands down. The incumbents didn't even know what hit them. And that is when I realized that if you have a good team and a good strategy, you will win every single time. It doesn't really matter how small you are or how late you are with the idea. But if you have a good team, what then do you need to do in order to make them more efficient and more productive? The secret is never put a square peg in a round hole. It is the leader's job to determine what are the strengths of each of his or her team member, and thereafter position them in a place so that they can play to their strengths. The same young union leader that I talked about was considered a very difficult person because he never gave up a chance to needle management whenever he could. Now, I used to think that he does this because he was a highly intelligent person, and I thought that he was getting bored with repetitive jobs. Now, in those days of manual banking, the day-end reconciliation of accounts, called clean cash, was a very important activity. But it was an activity that needed not only diligence, but also expertise. Also in those days, union leaders never did any work for the bank itself. They were not expected to. But I decided that this chap should be challenged with this particular job. And I called him and I told him that if you really want to feel respected, you should be able to do this, so that you can tell not only your followers, but everybody else as well, that you can manage your union activities as well as a very difficult seat. My peer group of officials were quite disbelieving that this would work. I gave him the job, and believe me, not for one day did I regret it. And that is what happens when you put the right kind of people into the right sockets. You add to the productivity of your team. But what is a good team? How will you determine a team is good? A team is only good when, if the leader or a member steps away, the rest of the team can fill in that breach without missing a beat. I was a branch manager of a small semi-urban branch in Midnapur. That day, my husband had dropped me to the branch on his scooter, and I was just taking the cash out of the vault when somebody came running in and told me that my husband had met with an accident, appeared to be badly injured, and had been taken to a local medicine shop. I don't remember what I did for the next 3 or 4 hours. But as I was returning home with my husband, after having taken him to hospital, got his wounds stitched and dressed, that I remembered that I hadn't closed the cash safe or taken the keys with me, which I needed to have done. No mobile phones. My anxiety kept peaking as I tried to get to a landline in order to call the branch. When I did call them, my team told me, don't worry, We've taken care. We've done exactly what was required to be done under the circumstances. We have closed the safe. We have sealed the keys. We've called for a replacement from controlling office. That replacement has already arrived, has tallied the cash, and is now in charge. Please take care of your husband. We are here to hold the fort for you. I didn't know whether I was more proud or more relieved.